to kind of rebound a little bit from that last lap wreck. I remember Ethan Burrell ran top five the entire race and ended up way down uh, in the running order. So I guess that's probably my driver to watch out for this week is the 37 Monster Energy Toyota of Ethan Burrell.
What would you say is kind of should be the strategy for these guys here? If we're talking about how tires is a big issue, kind of a key to things, are you coming out strong, trying to gain position right off the bat, get aggressive with it? Or are you going to hang back a little, kind of see how things go?
Now my strategy at these mile and a halves is always to save my tires up a little bit and plan for the long green flag run as we got everybody gridding here. Looks like Nick and Delicato on the pole alongside Chris Wright. I think you hit the nail on the head with what my strategy would be though, Emily, is hold back, wait for those tires to come in, and then you know uh, once I get going, then I start making my move to the front. I certainly wouldn't push too hard early on. Right here, we've got our starting lineup. Nick and Delicato did win the pole, as we mentioned. Chris Wright outside of him. Dalton Tucker third. Matthew Bayuk fourth. Looking forward to see what Bayuk can do. And Joe Francis starting sixth, sponsor of the race there. Tate Lytle, Scott Crump, Colin Fambro, and James Heater. Atlanta's going to be a race that can really put like who's going to be the fast cars throughout the year. That's kind of going to be the trend going forward. I think is who runs well today. We'll keep on scrolling through the lineup. I'll hit on some guys. Joe Cambrell, our week one winner, starting in 20th spot. And I'd keep my eye on that number 11 car starting 18th, Matthew Weeks. That guy has been very, very historically good on these mile and a half tracks across his racing. Uh, let's see who else we got here. Johnny Thomas in 14th as well. Good run for him. And then as we roll on back, Daytona winner Cameron Rich looking to rebound after a bad start to the week last week. Damian Leininger and Ryan Lutz starting in the back. I think both of those guys are going to move forward as the race goes on. Definitely not a lot of time to practice coming off of Elite at Road America. And then all the way to the back here. Tyler Riggs starting 43rd. I think we'll see him move to the front, as well as R.C. Anderson, another guy who hasn't been able to practice Atlanta. So therefore, kind of hurt him in qualifying. Pace car will go off here this time by any final thoughts, Emily? Did you manage to hit on anybody before the race?
I haven't talked to anybody yet, but I'm looking forward to jumping in during the race and see how these guys are holding up. So just anxious to get started and see how this one goes tonight.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Well, pace car is off. Nick and Delicato going to lead the field to green. We are racing at Atlanta. ERSCA, the Hillbilly 200 underway. Delicato and Chris Wright side by side. Track in Atlanta providing a ton of room for these guys to race. You'll see guys on the outside, inside, as Delicato clears right though, looking for that lead down the back straightaway. Battle for the lead off turn 4 will finish with Chris Wright taking the point and leading lap number 1 here at Atlanta. Delicato will have to settle for second. You know, Chris Wright's not one I've really talked about too much over these broadcasts, but he's been consistently a top 5 car all season long. I think he finished in the top 5 last week at Iowa. I can double check that very briefly. And yes, finished 4th last week at Iowa, so Wright definitely one of the ones to watch out for moving forward, especially as these tracks get to where you need to really be careful. Last year, I believe this was our finale. Nick Massey won this race and the championship. Delicato now under pressure from Dalton Tucker for second spot. Jared Hogard sitting in 4th after a good fire off and a good qualifying run by the 00 car. Starting to see who's kind of making ground and who's not throughout our starting lineup here on the left side. We've got moving forward is Ethan Burrell in the 37 as well as Colin Fambro in the 5. Both of them have moved forward from their starting positions of, I believe, outside the top 10. I think 9th and 11th. They've moved forward to 7th and 8th. Battle for the lead, though, heating up a little bit, I believe, though that actually might be second. Tucker and Delicato kind of hounding, Tucker hounding Delicato early in the run. These guys have sorted things out early and are looking for an opportunity to kind of rust their tires, keep things cool, and then push forward here as the run goes on. We saw Dalton Tucker up front all race last week. Wasn't really able to make any ground, though. had to settle for a second place finish. And I'm sure he wants that one spot better today. Looking to kind of make it up and run some laps, I think, as we roll through this race. Side by side, deep in the field, you see back there. Up front, very calm, though, early on the start. Chris Wright is really pulling away.
David, have you noticed so far anyone kind of challenging or jockeying for position in these first 5 laps? Or would you say everyone's just kind of relaxing, seeing how it's going so far?
Guys at the front are doing exactly what they should be doing, which is singling out. This 5 car is the one I think that's maybe putting the most pressure on these guys. He's really forcing the hand a little bit, but most of these guys up here are just running lightly. I think Indelicato's trying to save his tires. That's why he's kind of backed up a little bit. Chris Wright's probably trying to put some distance on the field and is therefore maybe using up a little bit more stuff. But no, up front, I think things are very calm. It's going to be the back of the field where things are going to be a little bit crazy. I think we have Dom Santina with us now. So just 8 laps into this event. And Dom, that's all right. We're glad to have you now, buddy.
Yeah, glad to be here. Had a long race over there for my dirt series at Weed Sport. Mighty cautions, but hopefully we can keep this one clean, and excited to be back in here for another race of the ERSCA season.
So far, it's been all Chris Wright. Took the lead from the outside pole and has pulled away to over a second in front of Dalton Tucker. Battle now back here for 10th is Scott Crump, who was been one of our keys of the race drivers, is to one of the ones we expect to kind of run a little better than this. Falling back early on, and I wonder if that's kind of a calculated tire-saving strategy or if he's legitimately struggling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'd expect this race here at Atlanta to probably go similar to what we saw at Iowa, and that was mostly green flag throughout majority of the race. Track position was king, and then if you could execute on pit road, that of course was another positive to the event, and we'll see what happens here in the Hillbilly 200.
I'm right there with you. This race going to kind of said it before. This race going to prove who are the contenders and who are the pretenders a little bit in terms of the championship. Here's our championship points leader, Gerald Campbell, running last week's winner as well at Iowa, running well, moving forward. Though on the inside line, Gerald's a little bit known for abusing his tires a little bit as he kind of runs here. And I think Robert Hill is just settled in right behind him there. James Heater as well in the 16 car. Those guys just trying to sort things out early in this run. Gerald, though, definitely one of the ones known for pushing hard early in the run and then falling back later in the run. Can't help but wonder if his strategy will be a little bit different today, knowing that I think we're going to get some long green flag runs.
Yeah, things pretty single file here to start it. We're just, as we said, 10 laps into it here.
Very, very quiet start overall, though. The new challenger, I think, is going to be Jared Mogard into 3rd. We've seen this 00 car up in the top 12 or 13 most of the first 2 races this year. But this is the first time we've seen him really show any significant top 5 speed, and already another one moving up. Colin Fambrough in the 5 car has shot up from his starting position of, I believe, 9th all the way up into 5th spot, and he is continuing to bring cars down, now behind Nick Indelicato.
Yeah, you're starting to see a few familiar names now in the top 10. Fambrough, Lytle, Burrell, Adams now into the 10th spot. So you're going to start to see some of those familiar names that we've kind of seen in the first couple opening races start to make their way up now and start to contend for top 10s.
I'm kind of impressed by this 91 car of, I think it's Julian Bear. We may need to double up on whether or not I'm right on his first name, but he has really moved forward well. This unsponsored number 91 kind of reminds me of the old Evernham Motorsports cars there.
Yep, exactly. That 9 with the little flames on it. Absolutely could not agree. Could not disagree with you there.
Put pressure on Matthew Bayou, who started 4th but has moved backwards, and you know, I think we're going to see some comers and goers here today. The tires are going to wear likely more poorly than they did last week at Iowa, so if you're saving your tires, you will be able to come through the field later on. This track will allow for that. And you can really save stuff. You can move up your lane. But I think right now it's going to be a hold the car on the bottom and try not to get those tires sideways off the corner. If you can do that, I think you'll be all right. As Lytle has passed Fambro for 5th, and I believe Dalton Tucker is honing in on Chris Wright in the lead.
Dalton Tucker's had a pretty decent start to the season. He's ran up front a couple times. I think we saw him at Daytona. I don't know if I think he was hit and miss at Iowa a little bit, but he's definitely had a couple strong runs. I think he was strong in the dash as well.
He was second last week at Iowa, so Tucker was up front all day. He was just behind R.C. Henderson and Ryan Lutz, and if we can maybe even swing back to him here while we have an opportunity while they're clean and see the progress that those Ryan Lutz and R.C. Henderson cars are making, I think it's negligible at best. Those guys mired deep in the field here. Lutz back here, and I believe that's 25th spot, right around Daytona winner Cameron Rich, and then our league owner Johnny Thomas. Just a miserable start for Ryan Lutz. Started way in the back, and I'd account for that due to those guys having just pulled off of a race at Road America.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Tucker being up there in the top 5 now, just kind of hanging in that 3rd to 4th spot most of the night and making his way up into that 2nd position as we saw another wild finish. It'll be interesting to see if we can go 3 for 3 here in the ERSCA season for absolutely crazy finishes to the end of races.
I think that's right. And we're focusing on one guy here. Kenny Lowry is definitely one of the goers in terms of comers and goers. Ryan Lutz is moving forward and picking spots up. You see the pressure being put on Kenny Lowry. He has not enjoyed the switch to this track. He ran about top 15 last week at Iowa, but this week at Atlanta just falling straight to the back. A couple of guys here, Chuck Sweeting and Kendall Player, as well as Dylan Thomas, all running together near the middle to the back of the field. And a lot of talent back here. R.C. Anderson, Damian Leininger, Chuck Sweeting here, as we mentioned. I think these guys are going to really start pulling forward, and they're going to need to wait for pit stops and wait for these tires to come in before some of these guys can kind of take advantage of the wear and tear that this track will put. Anyway, to R.C. Anderson right there as well. Here's our onboards, Thomas Sherman and Nick Massey. There's Damian Leininger as well.
Leininger looking a little bit more up on the wheel than what we saw him last week, where he almost, after being involved in some contact, almost looked like he was sleeping behind the wheel back there, about to go to sleep.
Brandon Key last week, but Damian was off last week, had an internet issue at his house. Belly Up Sports, the podcast that he runs over there, it's the Bat Flip podcast was our sponsor last week. This week it's Strictly Stock, Joe Francis's iRacing League, and try to support all of our sponsors if we can, just at least bringing them up every now and again. Damian doing a good job there, trying to make his way forward. So I think he's following R.C. Anderson back in 32nd.
Yeah, sorry about that. Damian getting confused there between races, but there he is in the 12 car.
The battle for the lead is starting to heat up here. Dalton Tucker has really just calmly and quietly picked apart the lead of Nick Wright. It was at a 2nd and 2/10. Now it's down to 2/10 of a second. He's picked a second off of it in the last 10 laps, and he's brought Jared Mogard with him. Caution's out.
There we go. First caution of the day.
Take a look through the field to see what happened there. Yep, it's going to be McIntosh. Tyler McIntosh in the 13 car. So take a look down the back straightaway. And oh man, is it Brandon Key again? Man, that 6 car cannot catch a break. Ooh. Looks like everyone's going to get by okay. Very close call there. Can we even maybe get an overhead view or something to see who that was that just scraped by Ty McIntosh's car there, Josh? If we can, maybe we can go on board with whoever that was. But ooh, that was a close call. He just hit the wall down the straightaway and turned around. Let's see who it was right there. Man, I think Josh Clark was one of the cars that slipped on by. It might have been the guy, whoever was behind Damian Leininger and Clark on the replay. That would be who it was. Oh man, what a go with McIntosh. Here's what Clark had to see in the 28 car. He was up front at Daytona, almost had a shot to win the race. Down the track. Ooh, buddy. Good save by Josh Clark. RC Anderson not involved in this one as well. Not sure who was behind Clark on that one, but I think everybody's been on pit road for 4 tires except for this car. The 01 of Nick Indelicato and his teammate Matthew Bayuk staying out under this caution. Everybody else down pit road for tires, and Tyler Riggs in the 26 as well has stayed out. He started way in the back of the field and looks like he's having some blinking troubles, which unfortunately Riggs is a little bit known for across the sim racing circles. Maybe Emily can swing by the pit stalls of Indelicato and Bayuk and see what their thought is with the strategy of staying out. Either way, it looks like we're getting ready to go back next time by. And Indelicato and Bayuk will be on old tires. I don't know if this is going to work out here. At Atlanta, you really lose a lot of time once you even put 10 laps on the tires, much less 23.
Well, and I mean, from the trends we've seen so far in the season, cautions kind of come at a premium. So, David, when you get a caution like this, even though we're only 23 laps in, I mean, wouldn't you want to get tires any chance you can?
I sure would, man. I don't like trying to stay out usually. In my own personal experience, I've seen too many wrecks coming off of restarts based on guys that stayed out and maybe shouldn't have, or stayed out and held their line, but the guys behind them got all stacked up trying to avoid them, and that's what causes the crash. So definitely going to be a bit scary here under green once these guys get to power with their wounded tires, I would say.
We'll have to watch, see if Indelicato or Bayuk either spin the tires here. And if so, we might see cars go scattering to try to avoid them. Lights out on the pace car. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Nick Indelicato, Matthew Bayuk leading us back to the green flag in the Hillbilly 200 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's Indelicato out to the race lead.
You see the stack up there behind Bayuk as Bright goes for the lead, and it's going to bring Ethan Burrell and Jared Mogard right to the back bumper of the 69 car. Those guys were not in second and third before that caution. They were third and I think sixth. So big gains there on the restart for the inside lane. Ethan Burrell, Scott Crump as well. The battle's back here behind these guys. Fambro and Lytle side by side once again. They were side by side in the middle of the run as well for a spot. You can see how much slower Indelicato is than kind of the rest of the field. We got Emily back. Emily, while we're watching Indelicato fall through the field, what was their idea there?
Yeah, they said they were planning on saving a set for later. So even if it kind of sets them back a little bit now, they're playing the long game, is what they said. And a quote was, they're sacrificing the short-term gain for long-term capital. So there was some strategy behind that with them staying out.
I like it. I think that's a great move. Getting off strategy is always smart, in my opinion. And it could work out for those guys, but it may not. They may just end up with no track position, which is the scary part, especially at a race that's definitely going to require track position if you want to win this thing. And who's got track position now is kind of my pre-race favorite guy, Ethan Burrell here. This 37 car looks bad fast now that he's got some clean air.
Yeah, he's starting to catch up. Too bright up here in the race lead. See if he can make a move as he really closes in the corner. Took right, might pull away just a little bit, exiting the corner.
Tough part with racing nowadays is the air coming from the nose of these cars. These noses are sealed off on the bottom, and the air will just kind of bubble up in front of the nose and push the car in front of you forward a little bit. So unless there's a clear tire difference or maybe a big run or a bobble by the other car, it's very difficult to actually pull up to someone and make a pass at these bigger tracks where there's more speed. Now, once these tires fall off and these guys are off the throttle in the middle of the corner, then I think we'll get a little more passing. But for now, we're seeing it's really only where there's a big bobble, and guys like Tate Lytle have to drive to the outside to jump around a guy like Scott Crump. Though it's good to see Crump up in the top 10. He's had a rough start to the season. Another guy I just kind of noticed there on our shot, jumping into the top 10, Gerald Campbell, our race winner from last week and our points leader. has jumped, used that restart to his advantage early in this one and has moved forward here into ninth.
New race leader, Ethan Burrell, out to the race lead.
There he is, Ethan Burrell. He's very good here at Atlanta, always really strong and good at saving tires, good at knowing when to push and knowing when to hold off. So Ethan's definitely one to watch, and watching him move to the front, that's just another thing. He's very good here. Lost a championship in the Elite Cup Series last year by 1 spot here at Atlanta. Finished, I think, 3 or 4 seconds behind Chad Frankenfield for that one. So yeah, let's go back and take a look at the lead, change for the lead on the street play.
Yeah, we'll look at Burrell. Dalton Tucker is going to be coming up on Chris Wright here in a minute as well. There you go, seeing Burrell go to the inside, make the move. Wright tucks into the second spot.
Worth noting that Chris Wright has been up in the top 5 every race this year. He's been very, very strong. So what we're kind of watching for is for Chris Wright to, maybe make a move back. It's going to be interesting to see if he and your Dalton Tucker can really move anything for Ethan Burrell. Ethan just kind of drove right to the front there on that restart. Is he going to be able to pull away like Wright did, or will these guys be able to run him down? Staying with him for now.
Front 3 have broke away just a little bit from Jared Mogard and Tate Lytle in the 4th and 5th spot. As you look from the rear view cam of Dalton Tucker's machine.
Tate Lytle is another one that's very, very good at these mile-and-a-half tracks. He and Ethan Burrell work together quite a bit, and at any track where there's tire conservation, Tate Lytle just seems to really rise to the top of the charts. It's him, Ethan Burrell, and Matthew Weeks all just tend to have a knack for these tracks, and I always try to look at those guys, especially when you've got a chance to save tires, when you've got a chance to run different lanes and choose your speed during the run, choose how much you're going to push. Those guys just always know how to push the right amount.
Lytle now moves into the 4th position as he gets under Jared Mogard there, and we'll see if Lytle can now track down those front 3, try to close the gap and bring the rest of the pack back up to the front 3.
I'm trying to keep my eye on the climb of RC Anderson, Ryan Lutz through the field, as Dalton Tucker has taken second from Chris Wright. I'm trying to keep my eye on Ryan Lutz, RC Anderson climbing their way through the field. 2, I wanted to look back and see where Nick and Delicato and Matthew Bayou were. They are all the way in the back. I think they're 37th and 40th. So safe to say that strategy hasn't worked out so far, but I guess there's still time. If they get a caution in the right spot, they could capitalize. But for now, I mean, they are as far back as you can go from the top 10.
So David, I don't know if you've said this yet since I joined a couple laps late or not, but let's say this thing goes green to the end, to the checkered flag. How many stops and how far can they go on fuel? So how many green flag stops do we have to make to get there?
Well, I think they're going to count it backwards. That caution was at lap 23, so these guys are going to try to get on pit road as little as possible. I think it's probably the best strategy, in my opinion, is to stay on pit road as little as possible, so you can stretch your tires probably 60 or 70 laps. I believe you can go that far on fuel. I'm not super clear on what it all is. Maybe Emily can hit on some of the drivers under our next caution if we do indeed have one. But for now, I would say they're probably going to divide the race in half. So 110 laps, they'll probably come at 65 to 70, and then just cut it in half the rest of the way. The curly caution definitely made it easy, I think, in terms of whether or not you want to pit.
I was just thinking, especially when, as we've seen in the first couple races, not many cautions. Would a play for trying to save the amount of sets of tires actually benefit you that much if we only see 2, possibly 3 cautions throughout the race?
Yeah, I think it might, but it would require the caution strategy, right? The Indelicato and Bayou strategy is hinging on a number of caution flags, and I don't know that we're going to get them. Atlanta doesn't really breed cautions. You're going to have to see some very crazy things happen if the Bayou and Indelicato strategy is to work out. So I think we have Ty McIntosh, who crashed there on the waiting room to kind of get an interview here after the crash with Emily.
Hey Ty, do you have a copy?
Sure do.
Can you just kind of take us through what happened out on the track there during that first caution?
I mean, I'm not really exactly sure. I know that me and Brandon, we were side by side. He got a little loose, so I tried to go underneath him, and then we both got squirrely. And I think it was net code. If it was my fault, I just want to apologize to him. I think he's still out there running. I'm not exactly sure, but we were killed. Not really much left in the car, so I figured it was better to not just keep riding around and sitting on it. So we'll just move on to next week.
Is there anything that you think maybe you could have done differently or will try to do differently next week?
I mean, this was one of the tracks that I was worried about as far as me trying to get the best out of the car and do the best of my abilities. And I think we did good on the right front. We were looking at it after the wreck, trying to stave it. We weren't doing too good, but we were doing better than last week. I think I burnt the right front off that thing pretty quick. So as far as what we can take into next week, I think tire saving, whenever we need to do that again, we've definitely got a pretty decent grip on it now.
All right. Well, Ty, thanks for the time, and we'll see you next week. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Emily. That was perfect. And David, we got a battle brewing here for the race lead. Ethan Burrell and Dalton Tucker. Tucker's closing in for the race lead.
This 24 car has been mighty impressive the first 3 weeks here. You know, last week he never even had a chance to lead the race. What with Ryan Lutz running so well all week, but thus far today, and even though he was only running third most of the race last week and finishing second, I have been mighty impressed with the speed in this 24 car. I think he may be one of the drivers to watch out for in terms of the championship later on. Same for this 37 car. He just hasn't had the luck and finishes to show for it. Got taken out in that big wreck last week from the top 5 all race. So Ethan Burrell is always one to have luck come in spurts. Either he's winning races or he's losing catastrophically. You know, when he's got the bad luck, which he had last 2 weeks, you know, eventually it's going to turn around and this 37 car will be in victory lane or in second or third 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Also here for fifth, and I think Tate Lytle getting around Jared Mogart kind of burned up his tires a little bit, maybe trying to push a little too much on that 56 car, and it has allowed Colin Fambro in this 5 car to shoot by. I had kind of expected a little more from Fambro early on in this one. I think he's one of those guys that you just kind of have to watch out for in terms of whether or not he's going to be able to be fast in every track we go to. But you know, the guy who's kind of taken that this year has been Dalton Tucker, as well as Chris Wright. Those guys have been in the top 5 every single race, including at Daytona.
Looking at the battle right here for the 10th position between Josh Adams and Jared Campbell. Campbell had it. Adams able to get back around him here and get back into the top 10. Right behind him, there's Nick Massey in the 11th spot, or 12th spot that would be. Looking to get the 11th spot from Campbell.
Massey, last year's champion, Campbell, this year's points leader. So a couple of guys knowing to battle it out, and they're going to have to battle it out all season here. Campbell, I think, falling back and kind of seeing what the longer run will do on some of these guys who maybe push their tires a little too early. Campbell, I think, might be one of those guys as he had driven from the mid-teens up into 9th on that restart. Now maybe paying the price a little bit is Joe Francis under him for that 12th spot, I believe.
Yeah, Francis coming as well, and James Heater right there behind him as well. Now Heater going to actually go to the outside of Francis, trying to make that middle groove work and try to pick up the spot while they are both trying to look after Campbell.
You know, one of the things that I hate as a driver, whenever I've kind of run in any of these races, is I'm behind a guy who's not super fast. You know, I'm Joe Francis. I know Gerald Campbell's on older tires. He seems to be struggling a little bit. I'm being patient. I'm biding my time. I'm not going to burn up my stuff. And then James Heater just jumps on your outside, forces you to run a little harder. You hate that as a driver. You know, you're like, I can't do a whole lot here. I'm stuck behind a guy. And now Francis is pushing too hard. He hits the apron, and Heater's by. He just lost his spot. Not my favorite thing, certainly, as an announcer, and I'm sure not Joe Francis' favorite thing is now he's going to lose a 2nd spot to Matthew Weeks, maybe a 3rd to Adam Pettit.
Stuck up on the top side now. We'll see where he will eventually slot in. Pettit's going to take a look. We'll see if he dives down here in the corner. Weeks still not able to make the pass quite yet, though.
All this is bringing R.C. Anderson and Ryan Lutz up to this group. And those guys are the ones I think I got my eye on. They started in the back. They've been there the whole race. They're halfway through the field now. It's lap 48. Give them another 48 laps. How far up are they going to be? Yeah, we just got word from producer Josh Sobel. R.C. Anderson up 20 spots. I imagine the numbers for Ryan Lutz and Damian Leininger, who are right behind these guys, to be very similar as well, all coming up from the back of the field. Dylan Thomas as well in the 03 car. Those are 3 team cars right there, all for Apex Sim Racing on your screen. Nothing doing up front. Battle for the lead has not really gone anywhere besides Dalton Tucker putting pressure on Ethan Burrell. Burrell just holding station, and I think that's been the case for whoever's got that clean air and is out in front. They're able to kind of hold the field at bay. Everyone just kind of holding station right behind. No one trying to do too much. Burrell leading the way. Eventually, we're going to start getting into lap traffic, and that's going to include 29 car of Matthew Bayuk, who was on older tires. They're 23 lap older tires. I think he's only about 10 or 8 seconds from being lapped, and they're gaining by the lap. So that call looking worse and worse here as this race continues to go green.
Tucker is there. He caught him. That's one thing. Trying to make the pass is another. And I think it goes back to the point, David, as you said, tires are going to get older here. We're already almost 30 laps in on this side, or 20 laps in. And then, how much do you want to use him up trying to make the move? He's got the track position. He's got Ethan Burrell in sight, and there's still 80 laps left to go here in this one.
Watch these guys snaking down the back straightaway. Our one incident came on older tires, 23 laps in. We're about that far into this run already. These guys going down that back straightaway. The car does get a little bit loose. And as I look at this battle we had joined in earlier, we're back in it. R.C. Anderson has moved up one of the spots. That 7 car is really starting to move forward.
And the 31 car is really starting to move backwards as Pettit is looking to the inside now. Matthew Weeks has cleared him. Heater's gone by. Here comes Joe Francis looking to the inside of Pettit as they try to get around Campbell as well. And then, as you said, Anderson in there as well.
7 car is professional driver, IndyCar driver R.C. Anderson. I would keep my eye on this one moving through the field. But for now, I think we can take maybe a quick break to show a commercial, and then we'll be right back with you to the Hillbilly 200 for ERSCA presented by Belly Up Sports. Welcome back to ERSCA Racing, the Hillbilly 200 at Atlanta. That was a commercial for the Elite Racing League. That's the league I race in. So if you're looking to watch some more good racing, a lot of these drivers are the same, including our leader, Ethan Burrell. Then you can tune into them. They have race every night during the week from Monday to Friday, and Sunday nights as well. So tune in on the Elite Racing Network YouTube channel. We have a number of close, tight battles. The lead has not grown. Ethan Burrell is holding station, and everywhere back to 7th spot is within 2 seconds of the leader, which means that even the slightest miscalculation by some of those guys could result in a big shift in positions. And and then you have guys in the back of the field that we know are fast. You know, last week's dominators, R.C. Anderson and Ryan Lutz, working their way through the field slowly but surely. They have not moved backwards at all. They have only moved forwards all the way. Lutz now, I think, into like 17th or 18th here. He's right. Oh, and Dylan Thomas has hit the wall. 03 car hit the wall there, going down the tri-oval. He's going to hit his teammate there. Ooh. That got tight there in turn 2. 03 hit the wall. Looks like everything's all right for now. Lutz has really pulled away from his 2 Apex Sim Racing teammates of Leininger and Thomas there. And the 12 completes the pass. And those guys continue to move forward.
Yeah, I'm sure Leininger wasn't very happy there for a brief second, seeing his teammate Dylan Thomas come down the racetrack, and Campbell looking to trying to hold off more cars coming by.
Yeah, this 31 has really used up his tires. We've seen it hit badly today, and here's another one that's really struggling. I think Johnny Thomas down deep in the field, I think 23rd, 24th maybe. 83 car only moved back from the start and really hasn't been able to grasp the setup quite as well as he would have liked today, as Kendall Noah Player bringing the 94 to pit road.
Well, Ethan Burrell has started to pull out on Dalton Tucker, now 0.7 of a second between him and the second place car, the 24 of Tucker. Looks like they've started to encounter lap traffic.
I think these guys are really just starting to lose their grip, and Ethan Burrell in the lead with the clean air, able to kind of drive that car how he wanted to. Jared Mogard now on Chris Wright for 3rd, and having to hold off Dalton Tucker for so long, that had to wear a little bit on Ethan Burrell. But man, he stayed so cool and calm, just drove away from Tucker now that the tires are worn, and that car has been able to maintain speed while Tucker's has lost some. Here's the battle though. This is it.
Yeah, Jared Mogard has found something in that 00 car up to the 3rd spot. Getting around right there, right back to the 4th spot. See if Jared Mogard can make a run up to the front now.
Showing to be pretty fast here this week, I believe. A quick look at the points. That's the 4th place in points man right there, following right behind the 3rd place in points man Dalton Tucker. So those guys looking to continue and move forward in terms of the points battles. Our points leader has been the one falling down the field, Gerald Campbell, and Ryan Lutz, our second in points driver, has only been moving forward from the very back. So for now, one of those 2 guys up there in 2nd and 3rd would be your points leader. I believe it would be Dalton Tucker, but there's a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, and we can't assume anything here in the ERSCA series, because the last 2 races have told you anything. The guys that we thought we were going to win the night have not come anywhere close to winning at the end. So we'll see what happens here in this one. Still got about 70 laps left to go in the Hillbilly 200, and there's Damian Leininger getting into the mix. So we go on board with him and show you the in-car cam once again.
Damian focused, trying to finish this race off. He did miss last week, didn't want to, but internet issues at his house messed him up there and forced him into watching. We're glad he's back on the race and on the cam.
Yeah, Josh Sobel just told us from the production truck, it looks like he was driving one-handed. I thought that was kind of the case too, unless his left hand is just out of the camera view maybe a little bit.
Damian's pretty calm back there though. He's able to kind of not worry about things too much, and I think that's kind of something that makes him pretty good here. But new 2nd place driver, Jared Mogart, 00 car, now going to set his sights on leader Ethan Burrell. Colin Fambro challenging for 4th. So as we kind of mentioned, there's going to be comers, there's going to be goers. Who saved their tires? Who's kind of running on fumes here at this point in the run? Guys are going to consider, I think, short pitting, trying to cut the race in half. Some guys are going to go long, try to hold out for a caution flag. The strategy is going to be all over the place here, and we're approaching the point where it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I think Chris Wright might be on the verge of starting to become a goer, as Tate Lytle starting to close in, as well as Scott Crump. That 69 car was in the 2nd, even then the 3rd place spot, now back to 4th, and now even 5th. As here comes Lytle looking to the inside as they come back to the finish line. Might have a battle on his hands for the 5th spot here in the next lap or so.
Yep, I think it's going to be difficult for Chris Wright to hold on there. Looks like he might have just burned up his tires a little bit. And same for Dalton Tucker. And Jared Mogard, meanwhile, has had fresh tires. He's been kind of holding back, waiting for the run to go and come to him. And now that 00 car has hit the gas pedal and is trying to move forward as Lytle into 5th around Chris Wright.
And I would say in about another lap or maybe 2, we'll see Scott Crump probably make the same pass for the 6th position, as they're starting to make their way through and up into the battle as well.
The thing I'm noticing here is these guys are starting to run a line that is not that white line. They're running up much higher off that bottom, trying to conserve tires and really try to get as much grip as they can down the straightaways, trying to get as much momentum that they can going down these long straightaways in Atlanta. But if you're out of the gas so much through these corners, you really can't get a run down the straightaways. Nick Massey, who about knocked the fence down there. R.C. Anderson has entered the chat going for a top 12 here if he can get around both Massey and Joe Francis.
Yeah, this is 12th, 13th, 14th, and now 15th as Weeks has entered the battle as well. You got Joe Francis, Nick Massey, R.C. Anderson, and Weeks in the mix as well. Seeing how they'll sort it out. R.C. Anderson continues his climb towards the front. He close in on a top 10. I see James Heater is now in the top 10 as well.
16 car's been fast of late, showing some speed. I think he was one of the ones maybe saving tire a little bit at the beginning of the run and then turned on the gas pedal. I think right when we looked back at him fighting Joe Francis earlier in the race, he jumped on the outside, took the spot away. Now we have, I believe, Dalton Tucker losing 3rd to Fambro and now 4th to Lytle.
So maybe those cars we saw early after that caution that were pushing for the race lead starting to fall off a little bit as David predicted. Those cars that hung back a little bit starting to make their run towards the front. Will Ethan Burrell lose the race lead in the same fashion? Mogard's closing in. He's closed in by about a 10th since we looked last up here at the front. And he closed in and make the pass to make another new leader.
Burrell has really had the benefit of that clean air for the whole race, and we've seen him in this position before with the car closing and 2/10, 3/10 off, 1/10. They never could get around him. Dalton Tucker looks like he might have even used up his stuff trying to get around Ethan Burrell. Can Ethan turn up the wick a little bit again and keep Jared Mogard behind him, or will the tires kind of prevail, the tire saving that is, and let Mogard kind of flash on by, or will Fambro throw a wrench into this whole mix?
Couple lappers there you can see up ahead on the racetrack. They're in the same corner as them now when we were riding on board with Mogard. And as David said, here comes Colin Fambro into the mix, and he's got a lot of momentum closing up on the back of Mogard for that 2nd spot.
It seems like these guys can't get to Ethan Burrell's back bumper. They can get close, 2/10, 3/10, but for whatever reason, that 37 car in clean air just seems to drive perfectly. He doesn't really bobble it ever. And let's kind of see if he can get around the lap traffic here. That might throw problems his way as here comes Fambro on Mogard. Mogard slams the door.
Well, and that might be the one thing that they needed was the help of the lap cars, but while Burrell was encountering those, Mogard and Fambro kind of got into a small little battle as Fambro looked to the inside of Mogard there. Looks like everyone's going to navigate the lappers easily and safely.
Chuck Speeding going a lap down as well. Currently, the fastest car on the track is this 5 car of Colin Fambro. He is really chasing these guys down. That car's starting to really come to life here deep in the run. Mogard couldn't slam the door that time. Here comes Fambro to the inside.
Inside his quarter panel now. He'll look to the inside, and they're
Mogard in the wall.
They'll both try to close in on Burrell. Mogard back to the 3rd spot now will lose quite a bit of time to Fambro. And here comes Tate Lytle. He's going to close right up after Mogard tapped the outside wall.
Won't slow Fambro down, though. It slows Mogard down, and he loses a chance at the lead. But now it's going to be all Burrell and Fambro as 3 wide behind Crump and Tucker. Now Crump thinks better of it. I think that was a really wise move there. That would have been a catastrophe waiting to happen between 2 of our kind of top points guys, though one of them last year and one of them this year.
Yeah, Crump, when he went to make the move, got a little loose, diving that 51 car down there to the bottom line. That's when he backed out of the throttle settle for the 6th spot for the time being.
I guess I got my eye on that chart there. The tracker. One, Ryan Lutz is on pit road. Two, R.C. Anderson has entered the top 10. There he
He is coming. James Sheeter making his way up as well. Bear now into the 9th spot. Chad Bear falling back a little bit.
And there's the lead. Ethan Burrell and Colin Fambro. And there's the caution as well. So a disaster for the guys who've already pitted. Ryan Lutz, Damian Leininger, Kendall Noah Player as well. Nick Bayuk and Indelicado all have fallen victim to the poorly timed caution. The guys who stayed out. Good news and probably the best news for Ethan Burrell as he had just lost the lead to Colin Fambro.
Yeah, probably will save him from seeing what we saw with Chris Wright there, who fell back to the 7th position.
Kyle Hanshaw in the 46 was the car involved. I think we had another car involved in that one as well. But yeah, just such a poorly timed caution for some of those guys, and I think just the perfect caution for Chris Wright, Dalton Tucker, and Ethan Burrell, all of whom were starting to lose ground to the aforementioned Colin Fambro, Tate Lytle, Jared Mogard group. So here's the replay here. Hanshaw, I think, maybe had a little help there. Looks like he did. Dylan Thomas, who was on fresh tires, gets into him there, and it's going to be Kyle Lowry in the 22 as well, or Kenny Lowry, is I believe, hard into the wall. A couple of guys who just did not have any luck last week, had some poor runs, and then this week, once again, another bad run. Hanshaw 43rd in points before this race. Yeah, Thomas, look at the gain in the corner, fresh tires, and that sends Hanshaw into the wall.
Our 2nd caution of the night. We'll have to see how that plays out. Expect most of these guys to go down there and get fresh tires.
Oh, they're definitely getting tires this time. There will be no Matthew Bayuk and Nick Indelicado. I can promise you that. And that should let the Ryan Lutz guys back on the lead lap. Maybe Emily can jump into the Apex Sim Racing chat and see what Ryan Lutz and Damian Leininger think about that caution. Josh Adams was another one that came down pit road. He had been in the top 10 for a good portion of the day in the 95 car as well. Yeah, it's Damian Leininger as well. Everybody taking the wave around as Fambro will have to yield to these guys in front of him. And, yeah, this is not a sight anyone wants to see. I think that's up here in this top 10.
I think I was going to say, I think he even picked up a spot or two on pit road. He's in the 8th spot now.
It's bad news. It's bad news for everybody up here. The 7 car was fast last week. He was the only one who could keep touch with Ryan Lutz. Now I think the scary part is whether or not Anderson can pick his way from 8th to the lead.
Well, he's made his way up here this far. We'll see what happens. Still got quite a ways to go in this one.
And now we're only just past halfway in this race. And I think that, yeah, like you said, it's just begun. You know, we've seen the ERSCA series have some dominant cars so far, but neither of the drivers who've led the most laps in either race so far this year has won. Right now, I believe that would be Ethan Burrell. But, you know, again, if someone leads through to the end, they would take that from him. But for now, he's looked like a dominant car all day long. He'll have an opportunity to take the lead back on this restart. We'll see if we maybe get a little crazy here with guys in the back with fresh tires trying to fight their way through. We got guys now deep into the field like Jared Mogard, we know are fast. Gerald Campbell's going to try to move his way back to the front as well for sure. So gotta have to keep our eyes through the field on this restart. This could be a wild one.
I think you kind of said it with the tire wear off that we've seen more passing here at Atlanta than we kind of saw at Iowa. And even at Daytona, it was more of a track position race than coming and going. This one, we've seen a real race where cars can really make a difference and make their way up through the pack. Can we see cars now from the back? It's kind of, as you know, at Daytona, there's go time when you start winding down on laps. With this being the last caution, is this the time to kind of go and try to make your way up towards the front?
I think it is. You know, these guys are going to have to go to the front at some point. You have to burn your tires. You have to go. And this could be another 50 lap run, though. And if there is a 50 lap run, that's the end of the race. So, you know, once we get started here, we'll bring Emily back in and see what Ryan Lutz and Damian Leininger had to say about that caution. But for now, pace car's about to drop in.
Lights off on the Ford Mustang. There it dives down pit road. Colin Fanbro. Ethan Burrell going to lead us back to the green flag. At the Hillbilly 200, we are back green flag racing, and Colin Fanbro going to draw out to the race lead. Burrell going to tuck in front of Lytle there as they head off into turn number 1.
A couple of team cars there, Tate Lytle and Ethan Burrell. I guarantee you those guys were working together as Burrell now going for the lead down the back straightaway.
Dominant car all day. New tires and some fresh air to that 37 car, and there he goes out to the race lead. Tate Lytle going to tuck underneath, and here comes Scott Crump as well as Colin Fanbro's been pushed to the outside.
Crump sideways off of turn 4.
Got really loose. That's going to allow Tucker to come by, and Fanbro will hold on to the 3rd spot.
That was really good fortune for Colin Fanbro. The caution is out. Kind of thought we were going to have some wrecks there. Those guys were really starting to get racy. And yeah, we saw multiple cars sideways and pushing very hard. Yeah, that was definitely not going to last there. And it looks like, I believe this is Cole Tucker. Marshall Stanley in the 25 car. That's who it is. Yeah, Dalton Tucker's teammate is this 25. And Stanley in the wall in the front straightaway. We'll have to take a look back to see what happened. 3 wide with Lutz and Leininger, and that looks like netcode there. All 3 Sim Apex racing cars into that one.
Leininger gets a touch. Dylan Thomas there at the end, getting it as well. Third
Emily,
caution.
what were those guys thinking, I think, is now the question, because now they've been involved in a wreck.
Yeah, you know, when I spoke to them, they weren't too happy about the situation they were in, and they said they just hope that everyone in the top 30 gets in a crash, so they can you know, get up there a little bit. But yeah, not too happy in the Apex group.
I imagine they are not happy any longer. That was 100% net code. Those guys trying to split 3 wide around the 25 car, and he just you know, came up a little bit. Got caught on the box that these cars kind of draw in iRacing, and it pushes Damian Leininger into the wall. For now, it'll be the 2 Pro Edge Motorsports Toyotas, 1-2 of Ethan Burrell and Tate Lytle. As we watch those guys who were in the back of the field took the wave around, they will now come get fresh rubber.
They were wishing all the front 30 would get in a wreck, not including themselves, and it turned out to be the exact opposite right there.
Only Ryan Lutz surviving that one and coming out free without damage. Looks like both of the other 2 have damage. So a very tough break there for those Apex Sim Racing guys. For now, though, it'll be Ethan Burrell and Tate Lytle. I think Fanbro got incredibly lucky that Scott Crump nearly wrecked that car. He would have been stuck on the outside for a long time, and that may have burned up his tires.
Yeah, very lucky for Fanbro, and it's going to be interesting to watch that 51 car, because that's not the first time that Crump has almost lost it trying to make a pass. So that 51 car may be very loose, and be interesting to watch, see how far he can actually make it up to the front. I think it was with Tucker 3 wide earlier where he got loose and almost took the 2 of them out earlier too. So we'll have to keep an eye on that 51 car back there in the 5th position.
Yeah, we will. You know, that's tough to keep these things straight on these old tires with this worn surface. Crump's done a good job so far, but it's clearly been one of the ones that to watch out for, and keeping that car sideways. Some of those guys like it fast and loose, and we will see. I think they still haven't stacked them up yet, so the official's still cleaning up for now, and give my Racely shout out to our admin, Johnny Eckert, doing a great job, and our producer, Joshua Sobel. Doing a fantastic job for us once again, bringing great camera work and kind of information to us throughout the race. So big ups to those guys. Eckert really has been happy not to have to do a whole lot of work. These drivers doing an amazing job on track.
Yeah, we've had a couple of cautions throughout the season so far, but nothing too bad, really. We've seen a lot of green flag runs, clean racing. And then, of course, come to the checkered flag, everything breaks loose. Everyone wants not only the championship points, but the prize money at stake. And that has, as we've mentioned many times tonight, turned into chaos in the final laps.
Maybe you know, now that I think about it, maybe we can jump in and pick up a an interview with Damian Leininger, our on-race reporter. Maybe he can give us one from the in-car camera after that incident. Not sure if Josh can set that one up. So, let's also, before we add Damian in here, want to thank our sponsor for today, Strictly Stock Racing, as well as the Batflip Podcast, Belly Up Sports, Tap In Software, and everything else on your screen. Days Gone By as well. They tend to help the e-racing community a lot. Colonial Metal Products, Butt Kicker, and Ohio Intra Express. So huge shout out to everybody who sponsors the ERSCA Racing Series, and we look forward to having you on every race, and hopefully your cars can get to victory lane. Oh, he may have logged off then. So looks like the 12 car more than a little upset after that incident there with the caution flag and then the 25 car. So we'll have to see what he had to say later on. But for now, we'll get a quote on Twitter, and now we'll go green here once again.
Yeah, I was just looking. I think he's currently scored in the 37th position, currently out of the race. So the 12 car going to have their night done. Ethan Burrell, Tate Lytle this time going to lead us to the green flag, and a great jump by the 37 Monster Energy car of Ethan Burrell. He's going to pull up in front of Tate Lytle, and they'll head off. In turns 1 and 2, Fambro and Tucker are going to battle for 3rd and 4th. Wright and Crump for 5th and 6th. Slow car on the infield there.
Oh man, Fambro's car very tight. Close up to that 24 car. And here comes Thomas Sherman after R.C. Anderson. That's the first time I've seen anyone attempting to pass the IndyCar professional driver. Sherman finished 2nd in the Elite Pros versus Joe's race. He's certainly no stranger to running around guys who are of the professional variety.
Here comes Matthew Weeks. He's right there behind R.C. Anderson, and Wright slows up there on the top line. That's going to check Anderson up, and it'll be an accordion effect there on the top line.
Scott Crump just pounded Colin Fambro in the center of the corner right there. Don't know if we caught it. It was right on the bottom of the screen. Sent him up the track and now underneath. Fambro might not take too kindly to that, but he was holding him up. Crump around and into 4th. Fambro trying to hold on to 5th. Thomas Sherman doing a fantastic job. Up into the top 6, now almost 5th for the first time today.
Here comes Chad Baird through as well. The 91 car making a run back to the top.
Not sure what happened there. Chris Wright kind of braked into the corner, and it sent R.C. Anderson back 2 rows.
Yeah, Wright having some issues with that 69 car. Backing up quickly, and R.C. Anderson kind of caught on the top line behind him, losing quite a few spots. As Weeks has got by him, Francis is next in line. Weeks hasn't caught or passed him yet. Anderson could drop down right now if he wanted to, but
man,
there he goes.
Close racing there. Matthew Weeks and Chris Wright, Colin Fambro and Thomas Sherman, both side by side. And between them, Chad Bair and Jake Finch, this 30 car. We've seen him on screen a couple of times, but I haven't mentioned him yet. Going for 7th right here, doing a wonderful job in this this number 30 machine. He is tuned with. We don't have his team. Oh, there it is. Hill Motorsports. So a great job by Jake Finch there, and yeah, we'll see.
Things getting hot and heavy back here in the back half of the top 10. Great racing going on. Clean so far. The cars really starting to get aggressive. As we are just completed lap number 90. We're coming to lap number 91. Yeah, great run here by the 23 of Sherman, sitting in the 5th spot right now.
Teammates of Burrell and Lytle trying to pull away from the field here. Dalton Tucker, the only one able to kind of keep up with them. And I did get that quote from Damian Leininger. He said, terrible night. Didn't get much practice and never got the feel of the car. But but he's going to try to rebound next week. So it doesn't sound like too many hard feelings from Leininger towards the towards the 25 car, but the battle for the lead, 37 and 56, Lytle and Burrell. And Lytle might get the better of his Pro Edge Racing teammate.
Yeah, teammates going at it here for the race lead. Not going to be able to do it there as they come down the backstretch once again. Lytle will tuck back in behind Burrell, and while they looked at doing battle, that's allowed Tucker to close in. 24 car back in the mix as well.
Yeah, I question the move there by Tate Lytle a little bit. You know, you want to probably work with your teammate, try to pull away from some of these guys, especially with Dalton Tucker breathing down your neck. One of the Pro Edge Racing cars ought to go to victory lane with this setup here, but if they start battling amongst themselves, really anything can happen. You can have contact, or Tucker or Scott Crump could chase you down and pass both of you. So those guys are going to really have to be careful when they choose their battles, and it also could ruin their tires when you're running side by side like that.
Looking back here, there's Bear and Weeks doing battle for the 8th and 9th position. R.C. Anderson back to the 10th spot. Lost a couple spots on the high side. Gonna have to regroup and try to charge back up through the field once again.
Yeah, the restart was not R.C. Anderson's friend there. Got trapped behind Chris Wright, who's now back behind him in 11th spot. So Wright definitely did not have a good restart there. And then Anderson just, seemed to be in the wrong lanes at the wrong time. You know, we've seen Matthew Weeks and Jake Finch and Thomas Sherman all climbing up towards the front of the field. Guys like Anderson, James Heater, Jared Mogard falling towards the back. So like we said kind of at the beginning of the show, the guys who are coming and going, you'll notice them all race. Some of these guys have come and some of them have gone.
Yeah, and lurking right behind them, starting to draw up on him, is Nick Massey in the 48 car.
I think that might even be one of the ones who's gone. Massey was up in 12th or 13th earlier in the race, now back into 15th, 16th spot, just kind of not making any waves on this one is that 48 car.
We'll see as we start to go on. We'll see if maybe some of those cars like Heater and Francis that made the run later in the green flag stretch will hold out and try to do it again here as we reach the end of the race. Is that Johnny Thomas right there too that I see?
Thomas back in, I think, 23rd. It's just not the best of nights for Johnny Thomas or Robert Hill behind him. I know Hill was falling back badly on the last stretch, but rebounding a little bit there. A lot of these guys are like Jordan Owens in this 45, and hey, there's Nick Indelicato after that pits call at the beginning of the race, just completely unable to do anything here. Doing his best to pick his way through the traffic, but it's just so difficult. I mean, I just wouldn't have given up a top 10 spot for that potential set of tires later. It's just not going to come into effect at all, I don't think. Great racing here in the back of the field.
Yes, it is. And unless something drastic happens, probably not. And he's got a ton of work to try to get himself back up into the top 10. And like we've seen with some cars, not there, not able to do it. We'll see if he can. Looking back up front, looks like Ethan Burrell has pulled back out just a little bit. Dalton Tucker has held on to Tate Lytle. Not able to make the move there for the second spot either. These three kind of running together now as they still continue to pull away from Scott Crump in the 4th spot.
You know, I did look into our YouTube comments, and the message was relayed to us. Robert Hill had his tires down to 7% on the last run there. So these guys are driving their cars very hard, and if you wear out that right front to 7%, I mean, that car is not going to be driving well at all. And I imagine that a number of guys up in the top of the group have had similar tire issues throughout the day.
Scott Crump has kind of put himself on an island back there in the 4th spot, not closing up on Dalton Tucker, but has pulled away from Colin Fambro in the 5th spot. So kind of running in between the two packs here. We'll see what the 51 car can do, riding around right now kind of by himself.
I think the issue for Colin Fambro coming up is going to be he will not have enough time on this current strategy. He wants to save tire and then move his way back to the front like he did in the last green flag run. You see, he's already pulling away from Thomas Sherman and Matthew Weeks. He's trying to run the same strategy. He needs needs 40 to 50 laps. He's only got 33 laps to get it done. I don't think that 5 car is going to be able to push and outpush the Burrell, Lytle, and Tucker group as much as he's going to need to catch them. I think this strategy may have just not worked. The Burrell and Lytle strategy of running hard at the start and then settling it out, that may be the winning move. Just having the clean air on the nose of those cars may be all it takes.
It'll be interesting to see. We are closing in on 30 laps left to go here in this one. Another long green flag stretch here for the ERSCA series.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
We could see another one of those late race cautions that just throws a wrench in everything. Certainly not nearly the dominant performance last week by Ryan Lutz that is Ethan Burrell putting on, but Ethan has led the most laps today and has been, I think, the dominant car if you were to give one, though he has never in this race pulled out to very much of a lead, which is just really remarkable to me. I would think if you have a car that good that's able to lead that much, you'd be way ahead of the field. He hasn't been able to do it.
I think at one point he possibly might have hit close to a second, but it was for a brief, small period of time before I think it was then Dalton Tucker that ran him back down and closed in that gap. The one thing that Ethan Burrell might be thankful for at the moment with those crazy finishes that we've seen is that he does have a teammate sitting right behind him in the second spot, which would be a comfort factor for no one pulling a move. And as we talk about it, there's the 4th caution of the day.
Just like that, it all goes out the window, and I still think you're going to have to be able to restart. I think that's going to be the most important thing, as well as not throwing it away on pit road. Those guys who are not restarting well, I think of Colin Fambro as well as maybe R.C. Anderson, Chris Wright. Those guys have to fire off better. If they're going to have any shot at winning this race, going to have to fire off on these restarts. They're not going to be able to just hold serve.
So right now we have 29 laps to go. Looking at Dylan Thomas in the 03 car. He was involved in an incident earlier, getting some contact coming through.
We're looking back for the replay for now here, and we'll let Josh Sobel do his work. Maybe Emily Harlan can go down into the voice chat of the Pro Edge guys and perhaps grab a word from Tate Lytle or Ethan Burrell, see what their strategy is here on this pit stop. See if they can maybe pull away here moving forward. I think that's got to be their strategy, is to stay 1-2 and get some fresh rubber.
Yeah, I would, with what we saw with Indelicato and a couple of the others, I don't think you'll see anyone stay out here, especially with less than 30 laps to go.
No, and that may be the final restart, though. We saw how quickly, with just 23 lap old tires, Nick Indelicato and Matthew Bayou fell to the back. So I wouldn't count on anyone staying out for any length of time there. If I wouldn't count on anyone staying out with anything more than maybe 10 laps on their tires. You have to come in and get tires.
All right, so Josh Sobel has done the great work.
Oh.
Sometimes iRacing can be a pain, but here is our caution.
Well, that's our Daytona 500 winner, Cameron Rich in the 47, and Robert Hill in the 05. Looks like he got a little bit loose there. We did mention his tire wear was kind of extreme, so wonder if those tires were maybe going away already, and he got loose there down the straightaway. Certainly something. Yeah, he got into the wall. You see it right there, and he comes off the wall and just clips the 47 car. Now we'll head down to pit road with Emily and see what the leaders are thinking.
Hey guys, so I just talked to Ethan. He said his strategy the rest of the way is just to run really hard and get back to the lead. He thought he kind of had a tough top spot there, so he's just looking to get back in it here.
Oh wow. So pit stops have shaken up the running order quite a bit. Tate Lytle now the race leader. Dalton Tucker into second, Crump into third, Fambro fourth, and falling back to fifth is Ethan Burrell. Pit road is such a dangerous place for the leader. You can throw away so many spots by just the smallest of mistakes.
Yeah, an absolutely horrific stop for Ethan Burrell. Luckily, he's the fastest car. We'll just see if he can make his way through the field now. So I was watching on my own screen there while we were looking at replay. It was chaos on pit road as every car was down there, but Burrell not helping himself out at all now in the 5th position.
And I think we're going to go to an interview here with Tate Lytle and Emily. So Emily, take it away.
Hey, Tate, do you have a copy?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Just very quickly, you're in the first spot right here. So what's your strategy for the rest of the race?
Go fast and save a little tire. Whoever does that best out of the top 5 or 6 of us is gonna win. Hopefully it's me.
And what's your kind of reaction so far on how the race has been going?
I mean, it's just ungodly tight in turn 2, and I'm not a huge fan of that, so I've just been trying to manage it. Yeah, we'll see. Kind of caught a break there. Teammate Ethan must have slid through his box, so we're gonna be leading him to the green here in about half a lap, and coming to 26 to go, so everyone's gonna be driving pretty hard. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another caution or 2.
All right, Tate. Well, thanks for the time and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Race leader Tate Lytle with us there, and he'll be ready to lead him back to green. And I think we're going to see that 37 car on a mission. He has been the fastest car on just about every restart.
Yeah, and I think he might have the most success on that mission, but there's going to be a lot of other cars ready to go on a mission as well, and it could bring some chaos and maybe another couple cautions. We'll see. Pace car ready to dive off on pit road. There goes the Ford Mustang. Tate Lytle, Dalton Tucker leading us back to the green flag, and a big jump for Tate Lytle there on the restart. Not a good restart for Dalton Tucker. Here comes Scott Crump and Ethan Burrell to the bottom.
And Burrell's going to pick up 2 spots right there. He's going to go after Crump as well. 37 car on a mission on these restarts, man. He's driving angry.
Scott Crump up into the 2nd spot. Here comes, I think, Colin Fambro, or is that Dalton Tucker on the outside?
Yep, Tucker and Thomas Sherman jumped down underneath Colin Fambro and in front of RC Anderson. I was kind of thinking there on the restart that Anderson might be the one to capitalize from being behind Burrell, but he didn't fire off as well as the 37 at all. Tate Lytle's loving this. Burrell to the top around Crump. And Lytle pulling away from his teammate, who is going to take 2nd away on the outside power move by Ethan Burrell.
Yeah, now here comes Dalton Tucker looking for a way to try to get around Scott Crump. He looked to the inside, got Colin Fambro on his quarter panel on the outside, so he's kind of tucked down there behind Crump in the 4th position. Nowhere to go for the moment.
RC Anderson has dispatched Thomas Sherman, who jumped down in front of him on the restart. He'll now come after Colin Fambro and Dalton Tucker as well, trying to join this battle, trying to get up front for the first time. If that 7 car ever sees the light of day and some clean air, I worry about the rest of the field. But for now, he's been trapped.
Well, right now, I think he's got the most positive mindset now that he can see the leaders and he is looking to get inside the top 5. That might give him the momentum. The only problem is there enough time for him to get around these guys and try to challenge Tate Lytle for the race lead?
I don't even know if there's enough time for Ethan Burrell to challenge his teammate Tate Lytle for the race lead. He's going to have to put together some very good laps to get up here. Had to use up a lot of his stuff, I'm sure, in making those moves up to the front of the field. Now he's just going to have to pass these guys. And yeah, that's Ryan Lutz making walks down to the apron. Joe Francis as well. We know Joe is the sponsor head, the sponsor figurehead for today's race, the Strictly Stock Series. They're driving dirt cars. It looked like Joe was driving a dirt car down the back straightaway that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was kind of surprised with how much Ethan Burrell has not been able to close in on Tate Lytle, but good battles going on back here in the back part of the field as well. Some cars have kind of been around all day.
Strong battle for the top 10. Ryan Lutz has finally made it up to 11th spot. Thought maybe that progress would be a little bit faster, but as Damian Leininger kind of pointed out to us, those guys have been practicing for Road America too, and that one's a little bit more difficult. So kind of didn't have the advantage of putting time down, and you can see what it takes. Ryan Lutz led 169 laps last week. It hasn't even been remotely close to the front this week, though, you know, making his way up, just like Ryan Lutz is, I think, always going to do at these tracks. He's just so fast.
Nick Indelicato back into the mix as well in the 15th position, looking under Joe Francis for the 14th spot.
can't help but wonder what Nick Delicato would have done with this race if he had a little bit of track position there at the beginning of it. But that aside, this has been a good battle back front for Nick Delicato, even if the problem was self-inflicted on the 01 car.
Tucker and Crump battling door to door here for the 3rd and 4th spot. Looks like Scott Crump will hold on to it for the time being.
Ball is for 3rd, and Crump trying his best to hold off this Tucker machine. Crump needs every point he can get. He is, I believe, 3rd to last in total points this season. Just has not had the luck. From the disconnection issues to the crash last week in Iowa, Crump desperately wants to just finish a race up here in the top 5. This probably feel like a win for him. There's the big battle back here. Joe Francis once again jumping down on the back straightaway. We've seen him do that a couple of times.
There's Campbell right in front of him in the 31 car.
Short run to the end is what Gerald Campbell definitely wants. He's picked up a couple of spots up into, looks like 16 now, but he didn't lose that to Josh Adams. Those guys have raced hard together for several years now, so. Ooh.
Car to the infield there, getting turned, able to keep it straight.
Not the 99 car, I believe. Bayuk will go around it, as will Bogart. A couple of guys we've seen at the front of the field today, but for various reasons, one in the wall, one with staying out, all into the back. And that's just how quickly it can happen. These ERSCA races. You make one mistake, you make one bad pit call, and the race just goes completely away from you.
R.C. Anderson looking under Colin Fambro for the 5th spot. Couldn't make it work. He'll tuck back in line.
I think the one driver I'm thinking about right now, especially when we talk about mistakes, Ethan Burrell on pit road. Man, if that car hadn't lost the lead, I don't know that anyone could have gotten around him. You know, we're watching Tate Lytle was hunting Ethan Burrell down for so many laps. Now Burrell in that reverse position just can't seem to hunt Tate Lytle down. And with that, you know, if he hadn't lost the lead, it seems like no one would have been able to catch this 37 car. Chris right into the wall. First 7th, Thomas Sherman. There's still guys sideways. Jake Finch in the wall in the 30. Everyone keeps it straight.
Yeah, car's taking evasive action there after getting in the wall. Back to your point, David, once again, another, the continuing storyline here for the series. Track position, track position, track position. Seems like who's ever been out front, it's been hard to get around them. Now with Lytle out front, the gap's closed by maybe half a tenth, but other than that, Burrell not being able to make up the difference here on Tate Lytle at all.
That's the story, I think, of iRacing as opposed to really anything these guys are doing. You know, it's iRacing's issue that these cars are unable to really make passes. So someone got the paper there blowing up. Might have been a damaged car from an earlier crash. Lutz got into Chris Wright right there. I don't know how Wright managed to save it. It looked like he was going to get forced into the wall. And Delicato and Lutz battling for 10th now. Good battle, a couple of fast cars. Delicato going to get a top 10 out of all this.
Yeah, like you said back a couple minutes ago there, David, it would be interesting to see if Delicato could have been a contender had he not stayed out, because he's really made a run here since this last caution. We'll see if he can get up here and battle with Heater and Weeks and possibly Sherman, pick up a couple more spots before this thing's over with.
I wouldn't want to necessarily get on the bad side of that 36 car. It will move you out of the way if it feels wrong, though I think Ryan Lutz knows that they've just been doing some good hard racing here for 10th spot.
Fambro and Tucker looking to go at it now for the 4th and 5th spot. R.C. Anderson was not able to get around Colin Fambro.
Fambro's got the same strategy that I would have on most of these tracks. It hurts you in a short run, right? 20-lap run. Fambro can't make up the ground, but give him 50 laps, he'll make it all up. You know, he's going to have the opportunity. That car is stable, it's steady, it doesn't make any sudden moves, and he's able to go where he wants to after 30 or 40 laps. But he only had 20 laps on this run, and just fell back a little too much early on the restart, wasn't able to push the car enough. The one I'm looking at right now that's pushing pretty hard is Scott. He's up right behind Ethan Burrell with 37.
Josh Schobel, our producer, telling us fastest in the top 5 right now. We'll see if he can do anything with it.
The trouble with being the fastest, but being behind a car that's right the same speed as you, is that you just don't have anywhere to take that run. You know, Scott Crump definitely in the best position he's been in all season for a top 5 finish, much less a victory. But he's going to have to really put something together to get around the dominant car of the day, Ethan Burrell, who will no doubt flip to teammate mode here with 10 to go. If he's not catching his teammate Tate Lytle, he'll probably be holding off this 51 car, ensuring that a Pro Edge Motorsports Toyota gets the victory.
Colin Fambro making the pass. He'll slide up in front of Dalton Tucker for the 4th spot. With Fambro up to 4th, Tucker back to 5th, and R.C. Henderson right there on the tail of both of them. See if the 7 car can get around Tucker as well.
Fambro's worst enemy is the clock at this point. 10 laps down, 9 laps to go. And that's just not going to be enough. Fambro needs about 10, 20 more laps for that 5 car to really come in and start taking over in terms of speed. For now, though, he'll be happy, I'm sure, with his first top 5 of the season.
Looking on board there for a moment from the 51 car of Scott Crump. He's been running fast, but the gap still really not closing in too much. He's still 6 tenths back from Tate Lytle, 2 tenths back from Ethan Burrell. And there goes R.C. Henderson around Dalton Tucker.
Yep, still a good run for Dalton Tucker today. He's been strong, up in the top 5. Never could get that track position to get the lead, really. But, you know, up in the top 5 once again. Going to finish here, maybe 6th, 7th spot. Right behind R.C. Henderson. Just overall, definitely a good day for Dalton Tucker, though. I'm sure he wants a little more. Definitely wants to be in the spot where this 56 car is. Tate Lytle, what a drive on that restart to get the lead and hold it. And has done a marvelous job keeping these drivers behind him.
This might be where we need to keep an eye out for that last caution to plague us. Cars all over the track. Looking back once again here. Deep in the field behind Gerald Campbell. There's Tyler Riggs in the mix.
Bayuk and Zishan Dura as well. Jared Mogard. So some former top 5 cars here. Man, look, there's Chris Wright back in 18th spot. Oh my goodness, what a fall for the 69 car. One of our top 5-ish in points. I think he's 6th in points now, Chris Wright. And there's more contact on the 69 car. He has just been a goer late in this race. One of those guys just can't seem to get any grip on these restarts.
It's 6 to go. So we start closing in. Like we said, we got to watch these couple of cars here. It's getting hairy back here, battling for a position. We saw contact with Wright there just a second ago.
We've seen late race cautions in both of the first races of the season. Will we have another one to shake things up? Ethan Burrell and Tate Lytle would certainly not like to see a caution because they know that then they would be in a trouble spot. If you stay out, everyone behind you will come in. If everyone come in, everyone behind you stays out. And it's just risky no matter what you do. As Zishan Dura hits the wall, that won't bring out a caution or anything. He'll lose a couple of spots, but he'll keep it going straight. And the battle is for 4th. Another car, I think, needs about 20 or 30 more laps to get up here and battle for the win. That 7 of R.C. Anderson.
I think our producer, Josh Schobel's back there sitting on the edge of his seat waiting for something to happen because every time one of the cars just nicks the wall or gets a little loose, he's waiting for one to spin out and bring us out of caution. He's in our ear every time.
Ready for it. He wants that late race restart. And man, I can't believe it. Ethan Burrell has not been able to claw into the lead of Tate Lytle. Whoever has been in front has been able to hold that lead all race, and the only car that we saw get to any sort of lead was Chris Wright right at the beginning of the race. Made it out to the 2nd and a half, got run down and passed. And then you saw what happened after that. Ethan Burrell really took over and dominated the middle part of this race. Tate Lytle has won the end of it.
Scott Crump still really not being able to make any room up either, sitting back there in the 3rd position. Really, the front 3 just kind of riding around now at this point. Maybe even the top 6 as we look back at Fambro, Anderson, and Tucker.
Just, man, you know, we can't do it. Three laps to go. Last week we were kind of calling the race for Ryan Lutz. Oh, it's all over. It's going to be fine. Ryan Lutz has been so good, and caution came out. Gerald Campbell in the victory lane. So don't want to call it for Tate Lytle just yet, because these guys are really close together, side by side.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing there, David. R.C. Anderson, though, making a run here at Vanbro for the 4th spot. He's closed on in a little bit.
These guys just do not want to see a caution. Tate Lytle trying to get to that line, trying to will that car just a little bit further. As soon as he hits it, he's good to go. There it is. The white flag is out. Tate Lytle in the lead.
I think David was just trying to say it as many times as possible, hoping that it would not come true. And looks like for once, I mean, we still could have a pileup coming to the flag, but it's not going to end in a green-white checkered situation. Tate Lytle going to send it off into 3 and 4 here in the Hillbilly 200. Well on his way to a victory here in week number 3. Here he comes out of turn 4. He took over from the last restart, and Tate Lytle is going to add his name to the list of winners here in the ERSCA season. Once again, it's another car that was not dominating the day, taking the win this time in a less dramatic fashion.
Oh, I think the interview with Ethan Burrell will be especially mixed in terms of emotions. A team car getting the victory, but Ethan definitely wanted to bring that one home, especially after the way last week ended for that 37 car, getting involved in the wreck despite being a top 5 car. And, we'll get to interview Scott Crump, who was our in our drivers kind of the race, keys of the race at the beginning there. As you see, a number of drivers congratulating the 56 car Tate Lytle for his win today. Days gone by, 56 Toyota wins the Hillbilly 200 presented by the Strictly Stock Series. Teammate Josh Clark there as well, 28.
Now he will light it up here on the front stretch at Atlanta and burn it down here for the fans in attendance and everyone watching online.
A good race and a good win for Tate Lytle. Just nobody could really pass for the lead other than Ethan Burrell on those restarts. And once Ethan settled into the 2nd spot, that was all for it. I think we do have Scott Crump ready for interviews, so we can send it down to Emily and get ready for sending up the interviews.
Hey, Scott, do you have a copy? Hey, Scott, do you have a copy?
I got a copy.
All right. Well, one of the things we talked about pre-race was that you had a little bit of struggles with the last couple races that we had this season. So what does it mean to you to come in 3rd place tonight?
It finally felt good to get a good run. That was pretty much my goal for the night, just get somewhat of a decent finish. I was pretty strong on a long run, but the cautions kept on messing me up there.
What would you say was kind of the biggest challenge for you tonight on this track?
At first, for the first half, it was like 3 and 4. I was struggling a little bit, and then I moved up a little bit, and that definitely helped, and I was really moving in.
All right. Well, before we let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
A shout out to my sponsor, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, and also my team, Lowline Racing, and give a shout out to y'all for broadcasting this race.
All right. Well, Scott, it's good to talk to you, and congrats on coming in 3rd tonight. Thanks for the time.
Was 3rd place finisher Scott Crump. First good result of the season, and someone we were kind of expecting to be a lot closer to the front of the field. Definitely has made it better today with that 3rd place run, and now we'll go down to Emily with Ethan Burrell for his 2nd place finish.
Hey, Ethan, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. I have to imagine that this one is a little bittersweet for you. The fact that you were in the 1st spot there for a while, coming in 2nd though tonight. Just your thoughts on the race tonight.
Yeah, the 37 Supra was a rocket, firing off the restarts, and I was really just building on that speed, and the longer runs I was hanging in there pretty good. I was feeling pretty confident that I was going to be able to hold it up there on the long runs, and just lost it with that last caution on pit road. Slid the box a little bit, so I fought my tail off to get back up in striking distance, but Tate was just too strong out there at the end. So yeah, it hurts to lose one like that, but at least I lost it to a teammate.
Right. Those last couple laps there, were you kind of fighting for yourself, or were you maybe trying to help out a teammate? What was going on there?
Oh no, there was was that last end of the run. There was no teammates. I was digging, trying everything I could to get him. I felt like I was a little bit better off of 2, but he would pull me right back off of 4. So um, maybe if I could have been closer, I could have tried to make something happen. But no, it was definitely all out there at the end.
Right, no friends on the track, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, I mean when you see the checkered flag, it's it's hard to be too reasonable. So yeah, it was. I mean, it was a great drive and great run by Tate too. I mean, he capitalized on it and he drove away, so he earned it.
Was there any strategy that you had coming into it that you thought worked well for you tonight?
I wasn't I wasn't too set on any particular strategy. I was kind of happy with how the cautions were falling throughout most of the race there. But I just was thinking, if I had the speed on the restart, so I figured I'd just try to get out front and while everyone else is trying to save tire, and then try to save from there. But I really want, given the speed I had out there today, I really wanted to control the pace. So that was kind of the mindset.
Well, before we let you go, are there any shout outs that you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, all my friends and family tuning in. I got my brother, grandma, niece, fiance watching, and all the guys at Pro Edge Racing. We're a new team in here, but partnering up with Tate. I know he's one of the big dogs in the series. So just shout out to all the guys at Pro Edge Racing, and a great win by Tate.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ethan, for the time, and congrats on coming in second.
Yeah, thank you.
And lastly, here we'll grab our race winner Tate Lytle and send it back down to Emily for that interview as well.
Hey, Tate, do you have a copy?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, first place coming off that restart to get in the top spot there. Just take us through what happened there. What was your reaction from the race?
I mean, it's just cool to have a chance, to beat some of these guys. A lot of talented guys in the field. I knew this was going to be one of my opportunities to get a win or at least be in the top 5. Um, yeah, I felt like I was a 6th, 7th place car there those first 2 runs. I didn't really have a chance to practice too much throughout the week. And I kind of figured something out down in 1 and 2 following Ethan that second to last run. And then when he had his pit road issues, I was like, if we could put 24 good laps together, I think we're going to come away with checkered flag. And made a couple small mistakes, but for the most part, I was pretty spot on that last run.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ethan, your teammate, coming in second tonight. So how cool is that for both of you to finish 1 and 2 here?
I mean, it's obviously cooler for me because I got the checkered flag. He's probably a little more bummed out, but obviously, just if it was as if it was the other way around, he's probably happier to see me win if he couldn't. So good 1-2
Right.
for Pro Edge, and
Yeah.
yeah, going another good track next week, Homestead. Hopefully, we can go 2 in a row.
Well, one of the keys of the race tonight was tires, tires, tires. So what was your strategy on tire conservation for this track?
That's kind of the name of my game. I've never really been known for being fast on the short runs, but I seem to be able to save tires a little better than most. Just kind of run smoother. Um, and I knew if I just ran my race, at some point it would come to me. I wasn't sure if it would result in a win, but I knew I'd be up there in the top 4 or 5 spots. But yeah, really cool to get Days Gone By and Harpoon Design Victory Lane. If you if you like vintage racing apparel, which most of us, if you're watching this, you obviously like racing because you're watching a video game race. Go check out Days Gone By on Etsy. Got some really cool stuff. I've got some old Penske gear. I mean, he's got it all. Go check that out. And yeah, great race.
Awesome. Well, Tate, thanks so much for the time and congratulations on the win tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, you guys.
All right, that was Tate Lytle, and our race winner. Big win for him, and I'm not sure if we have anybody else looking to interview there, Josh, but um, yeah, we'll grab our title sponsor interview here, and for the this is the I guess Joe Francis's other counterparts. We'll send that down to Emily as well for the final interview of the night.
Hey, Jesse, do you have a copy?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. Well, the race is over. What are your reactions just from the night?
I'm glad I sponsored this event with my driver Joe Francis. There, it was a great race. A lot of good talent in here, and definitely look forward to hosting some more races here with ERSCA.
Yeah, can you just quickly just do a recap on Strictly Stock Motorsports and kind of what it's all about?
Yes, ma'am. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we run a Dirt 410 series with a lot of money on the line. And so, if you like dirt, come out and check us out on Wednesday nights. And we also host like special events for some big time cash prizes. And come give us a check out on our social media platforms. And appreciate everything that y'all do for ERSCA, and appreciate ERSCA for giving me the chance to sponsor this event.
Yeah, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight. It was a really great race, and we are glad to have you on board.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all did an amazing job. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
And with that, I think that concludes our interviews for the evening. We like to thank Strictly Stock once again for sponsoring the event. And Dom, you got any final thoughts? Here's our final rundown, real quick, if we want to give any shout outs to drivers throughout the field.
Yeah, I think the one that stands out the most is the car in 7th position, Thomas Sherman having a good run. Nick Indelicato jumping back up into the 9th spot after dealing with staying out in old tires, and then Matthew Weeks getting in there in the 10th spot.
Yeah, I want to also shout out Jordan Owens there in the 17th spot. Never called his name today, but put down a really good run to make it up to 17th. So an awesome job there. You see Chris Wright fell to 25th. Just a crazy fall there, I think, from one of our top contenders for most of the race. As we rounded out, tough day for Johnny Thomas there, finished 28th as we finish off the running order there. So, any final thoughts here, Dom, before we log it off?
You know, I thought it was a really good race. We've seen a couple dramatic races throughout the season, but this one, it was really fun to watch the comers and goers. It would have been, I mean, if I could have asked for anything more, it would have been nice to see a good battle for the race lead. But I think, we still had that dramatic twist to the race with the comers and goers and then the pit road issue with Burrell. So I think it made for a good race overall, but there wasn't obviously that big dramatic finish at the end.
Right, and that's the kind of beauty of racing, I think, is you can have a good race that doesn't end under a crazy caution, and it's one of the things that I think real life NASCAR is missing that we were able to capture tonight in ERSCA. So, any thoughts, final thoughts down there, Emily?
Yeah, I thought it was a great race as well, and I'm just super excited for Scott Crumb to kind of get back into the mix of things. I thought it was really cool to see him battle his way into the 3rd spot tonight. So an awesome race. I'm super excited for Tate taking first, and can't wait until next week.
So I'm with you guys. I think it was great for Tate Lytle, and we're going for those points. So I have a quick rundown of the top. We'll do 7-ish in points, maybe 8. Gerald Campbell. Yeah, yeah, we can maybe throw up the point standings here. The updated points after today's race. Gerald Campbell remains the points leader. It's pretty close. Dalton Tucker there in 2nd. I guess you've got a drop race going on in there, Josh. So this is it with the drop race included. And I think the Ryan Lutz 3rd place finish from last week isn't shown. I've got Lutz right behind Campbell there, and then Burrell in 4th. So maybe a little bit differing overall, but still similar numbers, I think. And Gerald Campbell will remain the points leader despite a 20th place finish this week. So with that, I'm David Westergreen, joined by Dom Santina and Emily Harlan for Joshua Sobel, Belly Up Sports, Johnny Thomas, ERSCA, and our race sponsor today, the Strictly Stock Racing. This has been ERSCA from Atlanta. Good night, everybody.